CardGamesTV1 Podcast. Do I have influence? Am I a meme within a meme? Am I a persona or am I real? It's some funny stuff that's been brought to my attention for the past couple months. Somebody once, said that they hope that the way I talk or what I'm doing and whatnot is a persona and not who I really am or some shit like that. And of course, I took that offense because it's like, no, I'm not a persona. I'm not pretending to be something. I am who I am. I'm being real. And to me, the term meme within a meme, especially if it's being used to describe me, it's basically a way of trying to say that I'm not real. I'm a joke within a joke, right? Not I'm a character within a character, right? That kind of stuff. I'm this dude disguised as the other dude. He's playing the other dude. Like, no, I am who I am, and who I am is right. I do not go out of my way. I do not spend my life being wrong. I do my best to be right as much as possible. I'm not perfect. No one is, right? But I do my best to be right as much as possible. And I'm always trying to improve, always trying to better myself and others, which is why I share my experience and my thoughts with the world, so that way other people can benefit from my experience, right? Somebody who makes a lot of bad decisions usually is the best person to learn from, because you'll learn what not to do, which is not to do what they do, right? Which is why it's important for you to watch your opponent, right? That's why it's important for you to watch the people around you and see what they're doing. Because if they do something wrong, well, now you know not to do that, right? You learn from their mistakes, right? Just like watching gameplays in order to learn from other people's, success, right? Their lines of play. So you watch other people so you can learn how to be better by learning from their, achievements, but also learn from their failures, right? It's not enough to just look at what they do right, and that's it. You also have to look at what they do wrong, because a lot of times the person who does something wrong probably is going to keep doing that same wrong thing. They're probably never going to fix that. That's a possibility. Not saying that that's a guarantee, but that's a possibility. So let's say somebody keeps doing something wrong over and over again. All right, well, if you pay attention to the fact that they keep doing that, you will learn that that's not what you should do, and you should do better. Do things the right way, and then, or at least the opposite of what that person's doing, and you should get a better result. And if you do get a better result, great. That's what you should want. You should want results, and results is what you should be looking for. This is why, it'd be annoying when I see people, talk about the game, or try to, or they try to showcase it, like they do some gameplays or something, right? And it's always, they always try to make the game look harder, try to make the game more complex than it really is. And it really isn't that complex. It's really simple and straightforward when you actually put time and effort to understand the game. Some people try to make the idea of deck building difficult, so they justify net decking because it's easier. I don't have time to test every deck, blah blah blah. So it's just easier to net deck. It's like, if you're good at the game, any deck in your hands will be a good deck. Period. Like, you don't need to test every deck to know what deck is good, because any deck in your hand should be good, especially if you're good. So you should focus on yourself, making sure you're good at the game, and then everything else is easy. I mean, it is for me. I've been saying that for many years, that it's like, my play style is the reason why I'm good at the game. I don't need to be good with certain decks. I don't need to know the meta. I don't need to use certain types of cards, like, Godzilla and Trunks, for example, right? I don't need to use these cards. Can I use them? Of course. Don't need to. The whole idea of a need is is that you're doing something to make up for your lack of something. That's why you say you need, because you're lacking, right? When you say you need food, it's because you're lacking food, right? You're lacking nourishment, so you go eat, right? So that's the point of a need. So if I say I don't need, you know, to use counterplays, well then I don't need them. If I don't need super combos, then I don't need them, and the list goes on and on. If I say I don't need something, that's what that means, is that I don't need it. You know, I'm good without it. You know, and in life, that should be the goal, is to get to the point where you don't need a lot of stuff, right? You don't need, because need means you're without, right? You should be at a point where you're like, I don't need money because I have tons of it. I don't need a lot of friends, or I don't need more friends because I already have a million of them, right? And the list goes on, right? Of the idea of like, the whole idea of need is because you're lacking. So if I say I don't need super combos, it's because I'm not lacking in combo power, right? Or let's say I just don't need combo power, period. So this is unnecessary. I don't need it because I'm not using it, right? I'm not comboing a lot or at all, so I don't need combo power, right? I don't need special combo power, right? I don't need something that specifically is just for the purpose of comboing if I'm not going to need it, right? It's just like if I don't need training wheels on my bike, my motor, my mountain bike or something, right? Then I'm not going to put no training wheels on it, right? Obviously. So it's like if I don't need it, I don't need it. If I need it, then I'll have it, right? Common sense. So if I don't have it, it's because I don't need it. Don't assume that I need something just because I don't have it, right? That's your own assumption. That's called projecting. You're projecting your own insecurities, your lack of knowledge, your shortcomings onto others. You're imprinting your failings onto someone else, and it's like, that's ignorant. Don't do that, right? That makes you look dumb when you're trying to project your issues with someone else. It's like, if you need super combos, then use them. If you don't. Whatever, right? If you need if you need God Sending Trunks, then play it, right? If you need an SDR, then play it. If you need to only use Soul Striker as your only blue unit leader, then so be it. Use it, whatever. But there are other options. That's the point. There are other options. There are other ways of doing things. So consider other ways of doing things. So that's one of the many things I'm dealing with in life, right? Is just the idea of like, I am who I am. I'm being real, and that's the whole point. I'm being real, so I'm giving you the facts. I'm giving you the truth. I'm giving you the results of my training. And if it helps you, benefits you, great. If it doesn't, all right, then it doesn't, right? The old expression applies, right? Which is, results may vary. So if it applies to you, it applies to you. If it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. Don't expect the same results as someone else, because there's no guarantee that you can do what somebody else does anyway. That's why I don't go out of my way to tell people, to play the way I play. I do, however, share the way I play. I do, however, tell people, my methodology, right? The method to my madness, as some people would say. I teach you the ways of unison combat, right? Or the ways of, damage output, the ways of aggro, the ways of no super combo, right? The ways of, what else? The ways of the Hachiak, right? The ways of the Setsu Zamasu, right? Whatever. You get the idea. It's like whatever works for me, I'll share it in case it works for somebody else. But if it doesn't, then it doesn't. You know what I mean? Not everybody can be Michael Jordan, right? So just like not everybody can be me. accept it for what it is. But then it makes you want to. It's like, because some people pointed out that I can be misleading new players, and it's like, well, one, I'm not responsible for new players. The information I put out there is for experienced players, players that's been playing for a long while, or at least long enough that they actually understand the fundamentals of the game, the basic aspect of the game. But if they're interested in learning more and seeing uh, different ways of viewing the game, different ways of playing the game, then that's where I come in. But it'd be weird for new players to immediately start watching me before watching before reading the rule books. They should be reading the rule books first and foremost. They should be watching tutorial videos that teach you how to play the game at the most basic level. You know, I don't have stuff like that. I just a lot of my videos is just about the advanced stuff, like the concepts that I've developed over the years, gameplays of me playing the way I play now, right? That kind of stuff. I'm not showing people how to play, you know, at the most basic level. I'm not teaching people how to play the game like how a rule book's supposed to teach you how to play the game, right? So that's not my responsibility, nor do I want it. So I'm only sharing sharing my experience for those who are interested in knowing or hearing what I have to say about, you know, the current state of the game. You know, obviously, you know, using unisons, not using unisons, that kind of stuff. But it seems like, you know, I do have influence in the community beyond the obvious to me anyway, which is, you know, my deck profiles and stuff like that. Whenever I come up with concepts and you know, combos and strategies, card text, spice as some people like to call it, that definitely has an influence in the community. But I doubt I have much influence when it comes to, you know, choosing how to play the game. Most people are probably just going to follow their favorite, you know, DBS tuber, right, or their favorite, you know, favorite content creator, or their favorite player, you know, the tops events and stuff like that. They're probably going to follow those people and follow their influence. So if anyone is influencing new players in any type of way, would largely be them more than it will ever be me. Now, if people are influenced by me, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is interesting that some people will like to think that I'm influencing people in a negative way. Because recently I had somebody, you know, try to say that, you know, I'm misleading. If new players watch my stuff, it'll mislead them in the ways of playing the game. It's like, it doesn't. It's a way of playing the game, not the way of playing the game. There isn't one way of playing the game, so I'm not misleading anybody. It's not like there's just one strict way of playing the game, and there's no room for variations. There's no room for different, different way of playing that I'm quote unquote misleading people. It's like, no, I'm not leading people in the first place. You know, I'm just doing me. I'm playing the game the way I play. I share the way I play. You know, the cards that I like to use. And if people want to, you know, give it a try, then that's on them. If they're, let's say hypothetically, new players are being misled by me. Well, in reality, they're not being misled by me. They're misleading themselves because they're choosing to watch my stuff. They're choosing to listen to what I have to say. That's their responsibility. That's their choice. That's on them, not me. All I'm doing is sharing my experience, what works for me, and if they want to try it, then they're more than welcome to try it. But they don't have to, right? They can try somebody else's way of playing. They can do other things. Funny thing is, I'm not the only one that plays the game differently than what's norm way of playing, right? There's tons of other people that do things differently. They play decks differently. There's people who like certain play styles, right? There's people who like to play, well, apparently that's a term, meme decks. None of my decks are meme decks, except maybe, well, there was one, and I labeled it a meme deck when I made the profile, but other than that, all my other decks are not meme decks, but some people will classify them as meme decks just because, because they're haters. It's the only real way to express it. They're haters, because, you know, calling my decks memes is just a way of trying to say that they're not real. Since they're not real, then no one should play them, right? No one should try them. No one should watch them, right? No one should care by trying to say that they're memes, like if they're jokes, like if I am a joke, or if I, like the idea of spending hours and days and years, making jokes. Like, that makes no sense. And that reminds me of one time where somebody, pretty much, that was the idea. That was what they were telling me. They were telling me that my decks are memes, they're jokes. They're no way they're real legit decks or anything like that. And of course, that was disrespectful. Even more disrespectful after I explained that no, they're not jokes, they're not memes, they are real, they're legit, they work. Have you even tried them? So why are you judging something you don't know nothing about? But the person kept on with the whole idea that they're jokes, they can't possibly be real decks, blah blah blah. That type of nonsense is like
01502.
So, that was very disrespectful. I definitely didn't appreciate, the disrespect, the blatant disregard of what I was saying just because they want to believe what they want to believe. It's like, okay, well, whatever, you can believe what you want, but I don't appreciate, the disrespect. Like you asked me a question, and that was the thing. It started off as a question, asking me, about my decks, asking me, are they real decks or they're memes, like they're meant to be a satire or a joke or something. Like, no, they're not jokes. Obviously, they're real, and it'd be weird to think that they're jokes, right? They're actual decks. Like, you go on Untap and build the deck, right, and play it, you will see that obviously it works. It's synergized. There's tons of synergy. The cards in there are not random. They're there specifically for certain reasons. They work in a certain way. Like, I can understand it if you just don't like the idea or the strategy. Like, you might not be a fan of dealing 4+ damage on the first couple turns of the game because you don't want your opponent awakened. You prefer to do maybe at most 2 damage early game and then wait until like turn 4 or 5 and then try to do 6 damage all in one turn. That's fine. If that's how you want to play, that's fine. I'm not against that. Do you? Shit, you want to wait until turn 6 or 7 and do 8 damage all in one? You do you. If it works, it works. I'm all for it. Shit, I would love to see the gameplay of that played out, right? See somebody get to turn 5 or 6 and then just do 8 damage in one turn. I would love to see that. But, to each their own. Whatever works, right? But shit, I would definitely love to see that. Shit, I'll switch up my play style for that, right? For a guaranteed 8 damage, turn 5 or 6 strategy. I'll be interested in seeing that. But the funny thing is like, the idea that people want to believe that, a deck doesn't work just because of their opinions. They think that opinions matter when it doesn't. So then it makes me wonder if whatever I say doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter to people, right? Do people actually care what I have to say? Now, I do know some people who, do watch my stuff, who do care. There's one person that seems to care a little bit too much, but they coming off the wrong way. So they're very disrespectful. So I got like 2 to 3 like loyal haters, I should say, right? But technically, you really would classify them as fans, but extreme fans, right? So, but yeah, to me, it's just like since you're coming at me in a negative way, I don't appreciate that, and that's the thing. It's like there's a better way to approach me when it comes to um, you know trying trying to real trying to tell me something, right? If you're trying to share some information with me, I'm fine with hearing what somebody has to say. I just don't like it when it comes from a disrespectful point of view, especially when I can tell it's from a false point of view. For example, telling me that I need help. I was like, nope, that's not what you say to me. You don't say that I need help and you want to help me because you're not doing any of those things. Right off the bat, that feels disrespectful. Right off the bat, unless I ask for help, I don't need it. So, and that's ironic in my life. There's times where I actually needed help and no one gave me help. But when I don't need help, that's when everybody suddenly wants to fucking help me. Think about how stupid that is. When I don't need help, when I'm doing just fine, I'm doing great, I'm doing things my way, or the best way, I should say, because it gets me results. That's when people want to help. And then it's always the bare minimum. It's not even the bare minimum. It's less than the bare minimum, right? Whenever they try to offer help, it's like, damn, you're offering me less than what I really need, or if I actually needed something, you're offering me less than that. You're offering me less than what I would need if I actually needed something. But whatever. Like, I'll ask somebody for like $20 because I might really need it, and then they'll be against me. They'll be like, no, I can't give you $20. Like, okay. But then later on, when I got a whole bunch of money, suddenly they're like, hey man, you need some money? Here's $5. Like, nah, I'm good. You keep that. You need it more than I do. I got money. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I'm trying to help you. No, you're not. That's $5. That's not helping me. that's barely gonna buy me dinner. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm good. I don't need the money. You keep it. See, I remember sending somebody a link to something so that way they can get like $20 in bitcoins and stuff like that. Because I actually got $20 in Bitcoin from somebody. So I sent the link to somebody else so that way they can get a quick $20. And then they told me, like, yeah, once I do it, I'll send you the money. Like, why are you sending me the money for? I send you the link so you can get the money for yourself. I already got my $20 and I got money, so I'm good. But then they were like, oh, nah, man, I got money coming, so I don't need this, so you can have it. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need it. You can have it. What are you talking about? I send you the link because you're the one who needs money. I've been good. I've been good when it comes to money for over 5 years now. So it's like I'm good when it comes to money. So I don't need money. I can always use more money. Don't get me wrong. It's like I didn't need it. It's like I gave you that link, the opportunity for you to get $20 because you're the one who was talking to me not too long about that you needed money. It's good that you have money coming in, but here's the thing. Here's more money coming in, so, take advantage of it. Opportunities like this doesn't come often, right? So take advantage of it, right? But this is weird. Like I said, like people are trying to help me when I don't even need help. Like here's some money, but I don't need it. But oh well. But like I said, it's like just so weird to think like, okay, if I have influence, that's great. If I don't, I don't. I mean, a lot of people have been using the term legendary to refer to me, which I appreciate. I mean, some other terms like like king. I heard only one time I was called a meme god, but then that leads back to the whole idea of like, okay, what is it that people see me as? because I don't see it, right? I'm on the opposite end, right? I'm on my side, they're on their side, and they see me however way they see me. So their perception of me is clearly different than my perception of myself. So what is it that they see? What is it about me that makes me a legend? Is it a legend in a positive way or a negative way, right? Which one is it? I don't know. Because it's not like I created my legend, right? Or I created a legend. So what legend? What is my legend? Right? I mean, according to some stuff I've seen online of people commenting to me, people see me as a joke. So then it makes me wonder. It's like, okay, is that my legend? Is my legacy, right? My legend status is it based off of being a joke, right? So the fact that somebody says I'm a meme within a meme, and it's like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? To me, it sounds like somebody saying I'm a joke within a joke, which is just blatantly just saying that I'm a joke. And it's like, oh, okay, that's disrespectful and very uncalled for. I don't deserve to be considered a joke, but okay. I'm not against the idea of like, uh, jokes being made about me, for example, for humor sake. As long as it's out of respect, it's one thing. But if it's people that don't respect me making jokes about me, then that's not cool. That's just disrespect on top of disrespect, and it's uncalled for. It's like if you don't like how I play the game, you don't like my involvement in the game and the community, okay, that's a you problem. Get over it. But to make it seem like it's my fault, like I'm doing something wrong, it's like I'm not doing nothing wrong. If anything, the point is I'm trying to do things right, so I put a lot of time and effort improving and doing things better, getting better, right? There's people who want me to be better, and a lot of them accept me being better just the way I do it, right, my way. But then there's some others who, like this most recent person, wants me to be better. I mean, that's part of what they were saying, was they want me to be better, but they were coming off on this whole like, I need them to make me better, like they can make me better type thing. It's like, but I'm already good on what I'm doing. What worked, my way works for me, and I'm improving already on my own on what I'm doing. It's like a student in a class, trying to teach the teacher. It's like, nah, you're there to learn from the teacher, not the other way around. So I'm not the student, I'm the master, and I'm always, even a master is a student, obviously, but they're a student of life, and they're always trying to improve on their arts, their craft, their skills, and once they, master their way, then they teach their way to others. So that's all I'm doing, is teaching people, or sharing, I should say, my way of playing the game because of my experience of what works for me. And if it works for others, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and you just move on to the next person that makes videos that you can watch and follow for free. And that's the other thing. It's like, I don't make money directly from sharing my ideas in the first place. Maybe indirectly, I make money from people buying cards off me and, other things that I do besides card games. But I don't make money directly from, sharing my ideas. I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to get paid for a deck profile, right? Get paid for, a gameplay video or something. It'd be nice, to make money off of what what I like, what I'm good at. But, beggars can't be choosers, as they say. So until people start offering me money for shit like that, right, then that's not the case. What the hell is that? Bang. You get the idea. It's like, until that happens, I'm just going to, be sharing what I got for free. Hopefully it's of value, right? Hopefully it's valuable to people. Hopefully people can benefit. I do have one person that definitely is not against the idea of letting me know that they benefit from my podcast, for example. From the stuff that I have to say, the stuff that I have to share. If anything, they definitely want me to make more gameplays. So I'll definitely, do my best to put that together. Hopefully this Saturday I'll do some gameplays. I'll probably try to do maybe one game. Yeah, I should. Tonight, I'm supervisor. I should have at least 2 to 3 hours. I can try to play. So I'll try to remember that. Hopefully I don't forget. Hopefully I don't get distracted and do a whole bunch of other stuff. Because I got some deck profiles that I'm working on. I just got some cards that came in today, so I got my cohesion, my fin cohesion, basically my black board wipe. So I got my board wipe from my Hatchiac deck, and I put it in before I left the house, so that's good. So the deck's been upgraded. I got the Oceanuses in there. Oh yeah, the new thing I got, that was yesterday, but what I got today was the other 2 copies of my Demon God Putin. Well, let me see. The funny thing is it's in my pocket, so let me pull her out. There she is. Demon God Putin, Mind Wiped Malevolence. She's a 3-drop black, black card, battle card. She's a blocker with Dark Overwhelm to 3, and for 2 energies. She has the auto that when you play her from your hand, you can choose 20 points by card, 4 costs or less, and take control of it. So, really good card. I definitely recommend this. This is a spice for those who are interested. Yeah, this is one of my new spice. She's a really good card. Because she's a generic blocker, but the fact that she can steal one of your opponent's battle card and switch it to active mode, which is awesome, because if what you steal is a blocker, then you have 2 blockers for the price of 3 energy, right? This is good in many ways. I recently made a video where I was talking about this card and how you can use this to steal stuff like Black Mass Sane, for example, in case your opponent's playing something like that, or if your opponent's playing like some really good, like 4-drop or less battle card that's causing you problems, right? You can play her and just steal it, and now it causes your opponent problems. So the fact that you can turn the tables, as it were, so it's kind of like turning the tides, as it were. Because let's say they have something that that every time it attacks, your opponent, discards a card, right? So basically, it's a little hand control card, right? Then you can play this, steal it, and now you can start hand controlling your opponent. Let's see if they can take their own medicine, right? So that kind of stuff. So it's a nice little spicy tech right there. Even if you don't main deck it, at least it's good as side deck cards. Since I don't side deck, obviously I main it. So that'll be my Hatchiac deck, obviously. But I'll probably tech it in a couple other decks because it's just a good card. I mean, 3 cost, 3 energy, commitment, and you can steal 4 cost or less. That's good value right there. I mean, I'd be surprised if people don't see that as a good card. If people just look at it like as meh, that's an okay card. Like, okay, you don't know what the F you're talking about. But oh well. That's the funny thing is, when people don't catch on real quick to my my spice, or my tech cards and stuff like that, or my concepts and whatnot, they're missing out. It's like, okay, more power for me, right? I get more advantage, I get more benefits out of it. Because if everybody's playing the opposite of how I'm playing, well, that's my advantage, that's my benefit. I benefit from that, right? Let me use this as an example. If I have a method to make $1 million and I share that method to a whole bunch of people and they all ignore me, well, they're not gonna be millionaires. I guess I'm gonna be the only one, right? That kind of stuff. And that's the kind of shit that I know I feel a lot, for the past couple of years. Is I put information out there. It's not like I'm not sharing. It's not like I'm keeping this, these great ideas secret. I'm sharing them, but people just, ignore them for a long, long time. And then someday they'll be like, oh, you know what? This is a good idea. It's like, yeah, it's always been a good idea. It was a good idea when I first came up with it. It was always a good idea. It didn't just become a good idea. It was always a good idea. Like just recently, well, not recently, like a couple hours ago, I was watching a stream of some people playing, and one of them was playing the cooler deck. Obviously, uses a lot of one-drop unisons with Empower and stuff like that. And I heard somebody in the background be like, "Oh wait, well that's that unison deck, that's a lot of unisons. Oh man, that's the deck that uses a lot of unisons. Oh man, that's a problem, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna pretend that a deck with a lot of unisons is new, like that's a new thing, right? We're gonna act like I haven't been doing that shit for years since it came out. We're acting like I haven't been playing decks with a whole bunch of unisons. Okay. I see how the community treats me. I see. That's the thing. It's like, do I have influence?
01502.
That kind of stuff, be funny and hilarious to me. Just the idea of thinking that, some people, just have that mindset that, you know, that until Bandai or someone else does something, the idea is not good. So, like, no matter how many great ideas I have, no matter what I put out there, until somebody else validates it, it's invalid. I mean, that's what it feels like. That's what it seems like. That's why the idea of like, do I have influence? Because if I had influence, right, as soon as I put information out there, it immediately gets used, right? That's what you like to, that's what influence is supposed to be. Is that as soon as I put information out there, an idea, immediately everybody starts, jumping on it. That would be influence. But from what I've seen, it takes a long time for my influence to be an influence. But then the irony is that because it took so long for people to do what I've been doing for a long time, or what I came up with a long time ago, or did a long time ago, I don't get the credit. Instead, whoever else used the idea will get the credit instead. It's like, damn, that's disrespectful. That was my strategy. That was my idea. Those are cards I was using, for a long time, and got a lot of good results out of them. And then now somebody else used them, so now the community's gonna act like, that person's the one who came up with it. They're the ones who made it work. Like, what? No, I made it work first. What the hell are you talking about? I got tons of deck profiles of me using that card. Why is everybody suddenly acting like that one person that made that card good? No, I did that already. That's old news. That idea and that strategy is a 2019 strategy. That's nothing new. I've been there, done that. But because somebody else did it, they want to give that person the credit, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's bullshit. So whatever. But that's the thing. It's like, do I really have influence? Because why would somebody be like, oh, you're misleading the new players, blah blah blah? It's like, not possible, considering the fact that it takes a long, long time for, for me to see other people play the way I play, do what I do. Shit, I, and I do pay attention, so I do notice when the things change in the community. Like, for example, more players are starting to awaken uh, late game. They're 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 not trying to awaken early game unless they have like a what is it called? Um, what is it? Alternate win, not win, an alternate awakening condition. They tend to not try to awaken early, right? As in they're not trying to take a lot of damage early and then awaken, right? If they have an alternative awakening condition, they'll awaken early, but with the idea of keeping their life points high. So I respect that. But before we had the alternate awakening conditions, I noticed a lot of players stopped trying to awaken early. They tend to try to stall long enough um, before they until they get to a point where they can awaken. Like, they'll wait until like turn 3, like they won't let their opponent deal them damage until like turn 3. Then they'll start playing like self-awakening cards, so that way like turn 4 and 5, for example, is when they can awaken. So they're not trying to awaken by turn 3. They're trying to awaken by turn 5 or 6, right? So they're just pushing their awakening into late game instead of trying to do it early to mid, right? Because that's how it was for many, many years, is people trying to awaken early to mid game. That way, by the time they get to late game, if they get that far, they're expecting to have a lot of card advantage in that regards. But now a lot of players are trying not to awaken. There's some people, even if they can self-awaken early, like surge leaders and stuff like that, they rather wait. They rather save their awakening for maybe a kill turn or something like that, which is smart. It's a skillful play, right? It's a good play. It's a pro play. But it's just the irony that I've been doing that for many years, and then like in the past year, I should say, I've been seeing people doing that. But it's funny how some people made fun of me for saying that I don't awaken first. I save my awaken. I wait for my opponents to awaken first, and then I awaken after that. you know I try not to awaken my leader, and some people try to make a joke about it. And that's the thing. It's like, I'm being serious, but there's people who just think it's funny to make fun of me, right? Think it's funny to turn something I say into a joke when it's not. It's a legit idea, legit strategy that works. But some people want to laugh and think that it's wrong. It's like, nah, that's stupid. You should always awaken. You should always play super combos. Blah blah blah. Not realizing that it makes them look stupid. Having that single mind, having that closed mindedness, instead of being open minded and trying different ways and trying to see if there is another way of doing things, if there is a better way of playing, right? Because the funny thing is, the way I refer to the whole not awakening early or not awakening at all, if you could play the whole game without awakening and win anyway, right? That whole idea is the idea of winning in your base form. That's the way I classify it. It's pretty much you playing at your base form. Instead of awakening, which is your final form, you stay in your front side, right? You stay in your base form, and you beat your opponent while they're in their final form. Let them awaken, let them get to their final form, and then beat them. Pretty much what Goku does in the anime, right? I just use the same principle when I play the card game. I tend to try not to awaken until it's the right time. I use my awakening like a trump card, or at least a combo piece, right? If I have a strategy that requires, 2 extra energy in order for me to go off to go for game, then I'll save my Leader's Awakening so I can, awaken, untap 2 energy, and then go off, right? It's smart. It's a strategy. If it works, it works, right? So it shouldn't be a problem. But it's just ironic that there's people out there that would have a problem with it, would think that it's, stupid to wait, to awaken, when it's like, no, it's not. It'd be stupid not to wait, right? But, not everybody's ahead of the game like I am, so it's understandable that until people get more experience, wiser, and then eventually they'll catch on and see the potential. Ironically, some people have, did refer to the idea that it's like, I play in 2020, what was it, 2040 or something like that? Well, everybody's playing 2022. I think they said 2044 or something like that. Like everybody's playing playing DBS 2022 while I'm playing DBS 2044, some shit like that, right? So pretty much I'm playing a futuristic version of Dragon Ball Super while everybody else is playing the current version of Dragon Ball Super, as it were. So that was funny. I find that funny, but it's an accurate assessment. I don't think I'm that far ahead of the game. I'm probably like 1 or 2 years ahead of the current, state of the game. Because one of the things I do is I think about the future possibilities of cards and mechanics that could be added to the game, and I prepare for that. I play with the idea that could be a thing. Like I had the thought of planeswalkers, aka unisons, right? I had the idea that we could have that in the game. I just didn't know how it would translate, like how they would add planeswalkers to this game, right? But it would make the game interesting, and well, they figured out a way to do it, and it is interesting, and I'm a fan. So I've definitely been enjoying using the unisons, lots of them, obviously. Yeah, I mean, even I had the idea of a battle card that negates an attack, right? Because I used to use Whis Cohesion. It's like, damn, I wish this was a battle card, right? That way, at least I have some combo power, right? It's funny to say that, right? Because it will have some combo power. So if I'm tapped out and can't negate, at least I can combo, right? And then they gave us 1 energy negate battle cards, and then they gave us Oceanus and Topo, blah blah blah, right? All that good stuff. So that's why I use them, right? Because they're really good cards. But it was the fact that I was always thinking, like, things could be better. There could be, we could have better cards, better strategies, better things. Shit, I was using Bodyguard, Legic, and Champa for a long time, right? And then Supreme Kai came into the picture. It's like, ooh, more Champa, right? More Champa. That's awesome. More 10k double strike. I love that. And then Unisons came into play. It's like, ooh, that's nice. And then I was like, ooh, man, imagine if Unisons were, have the blocker skill. That'd be busted. And then they gave us Unisons with the blocker skill. I'm like, OMG, that's awesome. So it's like, I was always thinking like, oh, it'd be nice if they have this. It'd be nice if they have that. If they add this to the game, the things I could do with that information, that knowledge. Even burn, even before we had like at least 1 burn card. I think we had like 3 to 4 burn cards in the first 2 to 3 sets of the game. But they were like very specific. You had to use them at a specific time. So yeah, we had some burn cards. It's just that they weren't they weren't easy to come by, and they were rarely finishers, right? So now we have like a whole bunch of SCRs that have we have a couple, I should say, that have burn effects. We have a couple SRs with burn effects. So it's like, we got decks with a couple burn effects. So you get the idea. Invoker, that's the main thing about Invoker is it's red, blue, burn, right? It was like, okay, that's a thing. So it's like, burn, wasn't, prevalent for a long time, but then over time it became more prevalent. And it's like I'm definitely a fan of burn because I use burn in Yu-Gi-Oh, I use burn in Magic, and so forth and so forth. So any card game I play, I definitely look to see if there's any burn cards, right? And because that's a strategy, right? Burn, aggro, right? Attacking opponent for game, multiple times until they lose, and mill. So I always look for those types of, of course, hand control, but I always look for those types of things, and board wipes. Can't forget board wipes, right? Always look for those types of things in card games, obviously because those are good mechanics, those are good strategies that you can use to help you win the game, right? Milling your opponent out, burning them for game, or burn them until you can finish them out, hit them for game, right? Being able to do 2 damage turn, in the first couple turns of the game through burn effects like burn, 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 burn until you deal 8 damage and burn, for example, you know, that's a strategy. Doing hand control or just constantly board wiping, so it makes it hard for your opponent to, establish a board or maintain a board, I should say, so that way you can win through I forgot the fancy term for it, but so you can just win because you have the advantage. They ran out of resources and you have the resource. You have more resources than them, so you win, right? The whole card advantage concept. But yeah, so much. It would be nice if well, one thing is I definitely feel I do have some influence in the in my Hatchet group because I do have a good amount of people in there. Do expect more people to pop up in there, but but do have a good amount of people in there, which is nice. And I do be seeing that a lot of people are watching my videos, my posts on there. The irony is that there's it's like there's very few people posting. It's just a bunch of lurkers. It's like, okay, better. It's better than nothing. At least I have people um, there um, to look at my Hatchiak information. Um, Especially when I start. Especially I definitely want to be able to do some gameplays. Um, share some stuff. Like I said, I didn't say that in this video, right? Or did I? Anyway, probably said that in the other video about aggro Hatchiak. Trying to add more aggro into it. I pretty much try to add aggro to every deck, but Hatchiak, I notice I barely have aggro in there because I barely do damage turn 1, turn 2. It's always turn 3, right? Once you awaken later, then you start going in. But at like I've said many times before in my other videos, that the first 2 turns is the most important turns to do the most amount of damage. And as a Hatchet player, you definitely want to deal 4+ damage in the first 2 turns, because after that, it's all defense, right? You play defense, so you wanna take advantage of the first 2 turns being the best turns to deal damage. So incorporating unisons, with Empower and stuff like that, and 1 cost black unisons to to go aggro. That's why I call it unison aggro into the Hatchiak deck, so that way I can get early game damage, do at least 4 damage in the first 2 to 3 turns, and then after that just chip away my opponent's life, which would be easier because I play Hatchiak, so it'd be easy to chip at my opponent's life. And definitely take advantage of being able to play Hatchiak while he lasts, because at some point Bandai is going to be like, let's ban this leader. Too many people are crying, too many people are bitching about the leader. Yeah, and there are people who are not a fan of Hatchiak. So to each their own. To each their own. I'm good under the effect of Hatchiak. I'm good playing with Hatchiak and against it. Because the funny thing about Hatchiak is that Hatchiak affects both players. So it's not like it's a one-sided battle for anyone to be complaining. It's like you do realize I'm under the effect of the leader as well. the effect affects both of us. It just states that the game is slower. That's it. It just states the game is slower. But here's the funny thing is, we can bypass the leader's effect. I have no problem trying to play around the leader's effect. That's a sign of me being a good player. A bad player is the one that's going to be bitching that they actually have to try to play around the leader's effect. That's a sign of a bad player. One who bitches and complains about something instead of trying to come up with a solution to the problem or a way around the problem. They want to bitch and complain about the problem. And, but whatever. You can't tell nobody they're wrong, even when they're obviously wrong, right? And that's the end of the podcast.